Hey guys, I rebuilt my entire home studio after 10 years. Here's the new setup. Let's take a tour. After more than 10 years, I decided to completely rebuild my home studio. This isn't a wish list or a collection of trendy products. This is a real working home studio that I use every day. And this is the story of how it came together. Just a few days after I finished this video, one of the main tools I use completely rebranded. So there's a surprise twist later on. Whether you're starting from scratch or refining an existing studio, my goal today is to inspire you, help you make better decisions, and focus on what really matters, making music efficiently and creatively. But first, time to say goodbye to the old studio. I was making music with the same gear and software since 2016, and it was time to close a chapter. This studio served me well, but technology evolves and so do creative needs. Before choosing any software or interface, everything starts with a solid computer. These are the core specs I decided were essential for my home studio going forward. I chose the Ryzen 9 9950X CPU for its overall performance, but especially for its excellent single-core speed, which is critical for DAW performance and low latency workflows. 64 gigabytes of RAM gives me enough headroom for large projects, heavy virtual instruments, and long-term use without bottlenecks. I'm running two separate SSDs, one for the operating system and one for files and projects, to keep everything running as efficiently as possible. Since I record in the same room as the computer, a silent case was non-negotiable. And finally, this is all running in a Windows environment. A quick side note here. I'm deeply invested in the Apple ecosystem for my personal life, and I truly believe they make outstanding products for music. But when it comes to music production, I've always preferred not being locked into a single ecosystem. This setup gives me flexibility and long-term control. Instead of building this PC myself, I decided to have it built by a local IT shop. I wanted to avoid spending weeks watching tutorials, troubleshooting, and dealing with uncertain results. I brought them my exact requirements, agreed on the specs and final price, and let professionals handle the build. While the PC was being built, I took the opportunity to clean, reorganize, and prepare the space for the new setup. As a replacement for my old PreSonus interface, I went with a used SSL2 Plus, which I found on the local marketplace. I chose this interface for several reasons: excellent preamp quality, low noise, and a simple, affordable design. Connectivity is USB, which also powers the unit, simple and reliable. I'm old school and I like having a physical knob for each function. That's one of the reasons I chose the SSL2 Plus over interfaces with a single multi-purpose control, where mistakes can happen more easily. It gives me MIDI connectivity for my keyboard. The dual headphone outputs are also a nice bonus if I'm tracking with another musician. It has two phantom-powered microphone inputs as well as line inputs. A dedicated direct monitoring knob to eliminate latency when recording live instruments. And as a nice extra, the 4K button adds subtle analog-style coloration to the input, though I usually prefer adding effects later inside the DAW. Once my PC arrived, it was time to put it all together. I connected the audio interface, MIDI keyboard, monitors, headphones, mouse, keyboard, and screen. bringing the studio back to life piece by piece. So I'm now on my computer, and now that my PC and my audio interface are connected, I'll walk you through my software setup and the tools I use to record, mix, and master music. The backbone of my studio is PreSonus Studio One. I've been using Studio One for almost 10 years now. I started with version 3, and at the time of this recording, we're already at version 7. Here's the first surprise. A couple of days after I made this recording earlier in January 2026, Fender, who owns PreSonus, launched a completely rebranded version of Studio One. It's now called Fender Studio Pro. I had purchased a perpetual license, so I am keeping the same version I own, which is version 7. I won't go into a lot of details about this new rebranded version. There's been a lot of YouTube videos made on that subject. I'm just going to show you how the website looks like and what is in my account. The presonus.com website is still available with all their product line, and you see that the software is now called Fender Studio Pro, which is now version 8 of this software. In my PreSonus account, which is now labeled Fender under My Gear, I can see the products I have. Recording software, I'll get back to that in a minute. My Studio One instruments, if I click on that, I can see the 6 instruments that came with the bundle, example Deep Flight 1 and so on. My 9 plugins, there's Empire for guitar, which I think now has been replaced with Fender products. Fat Channel XT for mixing, delays, compressors, choruses, etc. If I go back to software, I can see the Studio One Pro 7 version I purchased, which is, like I said, the perpetual license. But now I see Fender Studio Pro, and if I click on that, I see now that I could upgrade to that version. I think, I'm not sure. So just know for now I'm sticking with version 7. As a side note, there are plenty of great options available out there when it comes to DAWs or digital audio workstations, Cubase, Pro Tools, Logic Pro, and so on. However, I decided to stick with Studio One or Studio Pro, whichever you want to call it now, because it covers all my needs and more. It's very user-friendly, and the learning curve isn't that steep even several versions later. So this allows me to spend more time making music and less time dealing with technology. I've been using it for the past month, and I can tell you that it's a great product, and the transition from version 3 that was launched 10 years ago was almost seamless to me. That's it for Studio One or Studio Pro, whichever you want to call it. The next piece of software I want to talk about is a bundle that includes all the virtual instruments I'll be using. This software is offered by Native Instruments, and it's called Complete 15. Most of you are probably already familiar with it. Just like Studio One, I've been using the Complete bundle for a long time, and I find it to be a very comprehensive and high-quality collection of virtual instruments, as well as effects plugins. Having upgraded from a much older version, I can honestly say that Native Instruments has added some fantastic new instruments over the years, and they sound great. If you explore the complete product lineup, you'll see that there are several versions available. There's the Select, the Standard, the Ultimate, and the Collector's Edition. I personally chose the Complete Ultimate version, as it will easily cover my needs for many years to come. Complete gives you an abundance of instruments for composition, plugins for sound design and mixing. It also includes isotope tools, which I plan on using for mastering my projects. If we take a closer look, you'll see that this bundle offers sample instruments, drums and percussions, synthesizers, effects, and expansion sound packs. If you create an account, you will see your products and downloads. Similar to PreSonus Studio One, once you've made your purchase, everything is downloaded and managed through an application called Native Access. One quick piece of advice here, make sure to set aside enough time and be patient during the download process. Especially if you choose the Ultimate version, it includes roughly 850 gigabytes of data. And that's it for my virtual instruments and plugins. And now for surprise number 2. As I was making this video, this just came in. It seems that Native Instruments is in preliminary insolvency. The article I have on screen mentions without too much speculation, that means Native Instruments' various assets will be sold off in some form. Now a process that's out of the hands of NI's executives and owners. The article also mentioned this is significant news for one of the biggest brands in music making technology. We'll keep updated as the situation evolves. As for me, I had purchased the perpetual license. I think I'm safe for now. We'll see what kind of support we'll get going forward. Also, you will need to download the driver for your specific audio interface. In my case, I'm using an SSL2 Plus from Solid State Logic, and as you know, I bought it used, so upon purchasing on Marketplace, the seller kindly agreed to cancel his registration so that I could redeem mine with the specific serial number. Now it shows in my account on Solid State Logic under hardware products, and from there I could also download the driver for my computer. I opened up a demo I'm working on in Studio One just to give you an idea of the environment. On the left and center of the screen is the tracking information. On the right panel, you can see all the instruments that are now downloaded and available to me. If I sort them by vendors, you can see the Native Instruments bundle, the Complete 15 bundle, as well as the PreSonus bundle. Same thing for effects and plugins. The native plugins are here, and you can see the PreSonus plugin are available as well. As far as the audio interface setup, if I go into Song Setup, Options, you can see the SSL2 Plus is connected with a device block size at 128 samples. This is very important to reduce latency. The sample rate is 44.1 kilohertz. So the input latency is now down to 4.4 millisecond, output latency 5.5. So this is very acceptable to me. I'm now ready to roll and create some music. And that wraps up the story of how I built my home studio. If you enjoyed this project or learned something new, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy music creation.